Hi everyone, this is Mrs. Umps, and I'm going to read to you a tale from Finland that is about the winter and the holidays that they celebrate there. And it is called Louhi, Witch of North Farm, and it is retold by Toni de Gerez and pictures by Barbara Cooney. Hey, here we go. Louhi, the Witch of North Farm. It was snowing on Copper Mountain. Louhi, the witch of North Farm, stretched and scratched her back. My, what shall I do today? She sat down on her bony behind to think about it. It was day and time to make some witch plans. She muttered and sputtered. She grumbled and rumbled. Shall I bake bread? I could make blueberry soup. I could go down and look at the boats. Shall I start some new knitting? But none of these plans suited her. They were too ordinary. They were not good witch plans. Louhi felt like stirring up some sort of trouble. What good is a witch who is too good? Louhi scraped some frost off the window and looked out. It was snowing softly. The snow looked just right for skiing. Not too wet, not too icy. Just enough crust for the skis to glide along smoothly. So Louhi put on 7 layers of clothes, all on top of her nightshirt. Then she pulled on her boots, which were stuffed with good sweet grass. Louhi took down her mittens, which had been drying by the hearth. Her skis were waiting by the door. Louhi liked to ski. Of course, she could wish herself into a bird and fly. She could wish herself into a fish and swim. She could wish herself into a stone and roll down a hill. But she felt like skiing in the world so white. Hey, I'm off, she said to nobody, or perhaps to the sit behind the stove, the quiet one. There must be some witchety things to do. She glided smoothly over many meadows of dry heather and over many low bushes, far away from North Farm, across many lakes and rivers and hills, and then Louhi changed her mind. Up high into the air, into the sky, into the snow clouds, Louhi skied. This is the real way to ski, said Louhi. Suddenly, Louhi stopped. She could hear music. She looked down. It must be Väinämöinen. Only Väinämöinen could make music like that. Väinämöinen was known all over the world, in all 4 corners. He was the great singer. He was the great boat maker. Why, if he felt like it, he could sing a boat together with only his magic words. And he was the great knower. He knew about everything, over and under and up and down. Louhi skied down a cloud hill and hid behind a chokecherry bush. There he was. Väinämöinen was sitting on a stone. His harp was laid out flat across his knees. He drew his fingers gently across the strings, and the tones leaped into melody. Väinämöinen played. Never before had there been such sweetness of sound. Birds came flocking to his shoulders. The pine trees made merry. Some old tree stumps hopped about as though they were young again. All the animals in the forest pricked up their ears and came running. The deer, the foxes, the wolves. The 7 stars of the great bear came circling down from the sky. Väinämöinen played on and on. Even the sun and the moon wanted to come close. The white moon stepped out of the sky and settled upon a birch bough. The yellow sun came to rest upon a pine branch. The music was so sweet, not a single leaf moved, not a pine cone dropped. All was still, except for Väinämöinen and his music. And there's Louhi watching. Suddenly, Louhi the witch came out from behind the chokecherry bush. Louhi did a double somersault over the bush, and Louhi turned into an eagle. Then, screaming and shaking with mean laughter, Louhi flew to the top of the birch tree. Louhi stole the moon. Louhi flew to the pine tree. Louhi stole the sun. Off she flew with the sun and the moon. Louhi flew back to her north farm. Then what did Louhi do? Louhi hid the moon and the sun behind 9 great locks, behind 9 great doors in her storeroom at Copper Mountain. She almost forgot to turn herself back into Louhi, but she turned another double somersault backwards. And there was Witch Louhi, the toothless one, except for one old black tooth. Louhi pulled up her stockings. She said, "Now for a little bowl of porridge. Where is my dear little porridge spoon?" And the porridge spoon jumped on top of the table. Now it was dark everywhere. The land was plunged into terrible darkness. The people and wood creatures could not find their way home. Darkness was everywhere. Dark, dark, darkness. The wind howled angrily through the cold, dark sky. Nobody knew whether it was morning or evening. Musti, the black dog, rolled up into a black, shivering ball. Muriki, the black and white cow, bumped around in her shed. The black door did not know inside from outside. Black smoke rising from the roof hole asked, "Shall I blow north or south? It is all the same, nothing but dark." Something had to be done. Everybody had worry on their faces. Wainamoinen went to find his friend Seppo the blacksmith. Seppo was a great blacksmith. He had forged the Sampo, hadn't he? The magic chest? Surely he could make a silver moon. He could make a golden sun. And the earth would be happy again. Seppo the blacksmith worked hard. At last he forged a beautiful moon. He forged a beautiful golden sun. He climbed the pine tree and placed the new sun on a top branch. He climbed the birch tree and placed the new moon there. Nothing happened. There was no light. Darkness still covered the earth with a heavy blanket. Seppo became very angry. "I shall make an iron collar and 9 terrible iron chains to wrap around the neck of a certain witch." Clang, clang was the noise of his forge as he made the 9 terrible iron chains and the iron collar. Wainamoinen in the meanwhile went off to Copper Mountain to try to find the sun and the moon. Wainamoinen crossed mountains and rivers, and at last he was near Copper Mountain. Louhi's dogs barked and growled. Louhi listened through the moss between the logs and peeked through a hole in the wall. Louhi opened the door a crack. She screamed, "The sun and the moon are here, but they are mine forever. Go away." And she shook her nameless finger at him, the most powerful of all fingers. Wainamoinen went back home sadly, across the marshes and the rivers. But Louhi was curious. What were they up to now, those two, Wainamoinen and Seppo? "I'll just fly over and find out," said Louhi. Louhi changed herself into a hawk. She flew from her north farm to Kalevala. She perched on top of Seppo's door and asked in a pretty little voice, "What are you making, Seppo?" He stopped his pounding for a moment. He said, "I am making an iron collar and 9 terrible iron chains to wrap around the skinny gray neck of a certain witch." "But why are you going to do that?" asked Louhi in a soft, sweet little voice. "And who is the witch, if I may ask?" "She is the witch who stole our sun and who stole our moon." A big stone of fear dropped into the heart of Louhi. Quickly she flew back to her Copper Mountain, to her north farm. She took her 9 iron keys and opened the 9 iron doors on her storeroom. There were the sun and the moon. They were sitting sadly side by side. Louhi picked them up in her arms. She flew back high over the marshes and the sea. She placed the sun back in the pine tree. She placed the moon back in the birch. With another of her somersault tricks, Louhi became a dove. She flew to the top of the door of Seppo's forge. "What do you wish, little dove?" Seppo asked. "Just to tell you, the moon and the sun are back. Look, look." Now there would be time. Nighttime and daytime. There would be weather. Winter with ice and snow and cold winds. Summer with bright-eyed flowers, birds, and tall grass. The sun and the moon are back. Look, listen. Louhi has flown back to her home in the North Farm, and Wainamoinen is singing again. The end. All right, happy travels. See you later.